Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Scarlet Betch. I'm Jason.
And I'm Anthony.
For those of you who don't know, Scarlet Betch is a comic book podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest in queer comic book news. So we're just going to start off right off the bat. Oh, I wanted to mention to you, so I was reading Scarlet Betch earlier today for the Super Queeros, and I noticed that Kevin Keller was on Super Queeros, and then I went into the store to buy Kevin Keller #2, and it wasn't there.
I put an edit in after I went to the store, because I went to the store and I didn't get it, and so then I went back and I looked at Comixology, and I could not find, I originally found that Kevin Keller issue on Comixology somewhere that said it was coming out this week, and I've gone back and I cannot find, not only can I not find Kevin Keller, I can't find Veronica.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on. I put a little blurb, an edit blurb in that post, and I apologize to anyone who had their heart broken, because I had my heart broken, so I know what it feels like. But I don't know. I'm gonna start double checking at the Archie site, I guess, or mailing them on Monday, like, hey guys, the one time I got really sad, so could you tell me what's up?
But now my comic book people think that I'm really into Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm like, okay.
I'm really into Tails. He's awesome.
There was some webcomic about, I think it was Hijinks Ensues, where they're at a con or something, and then there's a boy who walks by in sexy cosplay Tails, and he's like, what is seen cannot be unseen.
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of sexy furry characters, I watched Thundercats, and it was amazing.
Right? So sexy, so much fun.
So, and that's the thing. So I totally understand where people were coming from with the soulless thing, because there were a few lines in there that I was like, did you record this in an empty soundstage? Because you're clearly talking like a robot at this point. Yeah. There is no emoting going on. Which is fine, because it was 2 or 3 lines over 2 episodes, so whatever. And the premise was awesome.
Yeah.
And the setup is going to be amazing. I love everything else about it. I'm like, so you guys were bitching about 2 to 3 lines.
Yeah.
Because I sat through all of Green Lantern, and I'm fine.
Yeah. The one thing that I still don't like, I didn't like it in the original, I don't like it now, is Snarf.
You still don't like him?
No. I mean,
I love this version of Snarf. I'm like, he's a lolcat. He's looking at himself in the mirror, and he doesn't say Snarf all the time like a jackass.
But he's not even remotely, I mean, I guess he's kind of remotely cat-like. He's like a cat lizard. Yeah. Chameleon.
Well, he's like their lizard pet. Cats don't have pet cats. They have pet lizard Snarfs.
Okay.
Yeah. And what kind of mounts did they ride?
They're
what was that,
awesome. I really like them. They were like on them. They were like quadruped chocobo cats. And they were awesome.
Yeah. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I figure, if they have Snarps for pets, then sure, they have whatever those things are for steeds.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I really want to know what the other animals are in this world, because we already know that there are dogs, and lizards.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have dogs, because dogs were not. I don't know about any dogs in the Thundercats, in the old Thundercats universe, and it was also interesting that they lived with the cats, because it seems to be that there's species divisions.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I'm sure they're a serf population, so or an undercast, but it's interesting that they were close enough to cats that they got to be with the cool kids, but still kind of excited.
And is Moomdry, is he a new villain or was he an old villain?
Yeah.
No.
He's so old.
Okay.
He's the
Okay.
Yeah. His Mumra.
Mumra, okay. Mumra.
Yeah. He's as classic Thundercats villain as you get. Grun was from what I could tell from Wikipedia, because I never saw any episodes with him, was a 2-episode villain. They introduced him in the first season for a one-off thing to help define Jaga's character, and then they brought him back later for another Jaga-centric episode, and that was it. So I'm excited that he's got this elevated role because I think, yeah, he's a pretty cool character. I thought it was horrible that he only had one fang because I couldn't imagine eating like that all the time. That would drive me crazy. Right? Think about him and Corn.
Yeah.
It's just... So, but yeah, I'm very excited. I can't wait till Wily Kit and Cat and Panther all join the group. It's gonna be awesome. And they had Linkso in that one scene because he's the blind character. He's the blind cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is a Thundercat from season 2 of the old series. So like they had a 65 episode first season, and then they had 3 other seasons that were all 20 episodes each. So it's like smaller than the first season. So it's kind of like a divide. And so they have some villains that they'll get later, the Lunatacs that aren't animals. But anyway, but yeah, the mutants were all the different animal villains, and it looks like they're, instead of just being like a whole race of mutants that aren't cats, they're gonna have different cultures. And they also had robot bears, Robears.
Why not? Robears.
Right? Well, but with technology set up as this like mystical thing, then they're definitely gonna be someone they encounter. And my current theory is that they're gonna find Panthro with the Robears.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Robot.
Cool.
We'll have to watch and find out.
But speaking of other sexy furry things, X Factor, The Pack Runs Wild came out.
I love wolves.
So yeah, so the continuation of the story of I expected this Rain being pregnant story to last like 2 issues. You know, like, she's pregnant, right? She gives birth, something crazy shit happens, and she goes away somewhere, and like we don't hear about her for like a year, and then she comes back with her like, and you know, her crazy offspring is gonna do something lunatic, and it's gonna be a big, you know, like X-Men crossover event, and you know, it'll be something.
But she's in the cast of the .1 issue, so it looks like she's gonna be with them for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, and we'll see what happens with the kid. Like, I mean, it's half god, so don't expect normal. We're gonna have to Ileana this bitch. They can just be like, well, he's special. He's a god. Whatever they want.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I love that we get exploration of Guido's soullessness now, especially because like that kiss with Monet was really weird. I was like, are we really going there? And then it was like, oh, we're going there because he's a crazy consciousless person now. I was like, oh, okay, I can get behind that. Sure.
Yeah. Whenever Monet brings up her telepathy, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really stupid idea. Right?
I don't understand. DC has so many of these characters that are like, it's often like space people that are just like on their own and they have to fight space aliens all the time. Like Legion, the book with with the evil Brainiac. Oh no, yeah, with the evil Brainiac guy is ripe with them, and it's just these guys that have like flight and strength and speed and also telekinesis and telepathy. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why do you need those?
Yeah, it's like that Exodus motherfucker.
Right?
I can do everything. Why not?
That's boring.
Yeah.
That's boring.
Oh,
yeah.
Phoning it in.
Exactly.
But what else did you think of this issue?
Well, A, I liked all the mythical characters. That was cool. And B, I loved the advertisement.
Yeah, so I guess we can just go through them like one by one.
Let's do it. Let's start off with this. The Green Lantern drinking milk. No.
Also, why is he drinking his own energy construct? That's my question.
No, he didn't construct. He constructed the cup around the milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a really good way to be like anorexic. If you're like, you know, you're like,
Well, anorexia takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
Let's go to the second ad, which is this ad for Captain America and Thor. Wait, what is it an ad for? Let's read the bottom. Oh, it's sleepwear. What? There's no sleeper on that whole thing.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of, like maybe it's like pajama bottoms with them printed on.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, did you ever have like Superman pajamas when you were a kid?
No.
Okay, they were really cool. It'd be like it was like a onesie that zipped up in the back and looked like Superman's costume, and then you had like a Velcro cape on your shoulders so you could take it off when you went to bed so you wouldn't choke yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I assume it's along those lines, you know, with all their movie realism. I'm sure it's not like a Captain America suit where it comes with a plush shield or something, but you know, I'm sure it's like it has a picture. Like I'm sure it's exactly this picture printed on the front of your pajamas.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like you're not gonna show us his pajamas. You're just gonna be like Captain America and Thor. I think we're on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talk about deceptive advertising. The next one is Ultimate Spider-Man. So
I love.
This is a good. Okay, go ahead.
I'm very excited.
I'm very excited too. Yeah, partially because I was super behind the Donald Glover, D. Glover, the guy from Community. He was just in a Spider-Man costume at one point, which inspired Bendis to make Spider-Man Black. Yeah, and I'm really a big fan of that character, and I really think he would actually make a really good actor for a Spider-Man reboot, because they needs to reboot it over and over and over again.
I was gonna say we only have 6 more years until the next new Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing that I don't, so like, I'm not a big fan of this new costume though.
No, I love it. I love it.
I feel like it's only half a costume. Like, I feel like, I don't know.
So there's no detail on the crotch?
No, because there's no detail anywhere, like, below. And I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think that's a good point. I thought it was a lot stealthier. To me, it seems like it's going to be a different Spider-Man. You know, like a stealthy Spider-Man. I also think that it speaks more to, you know, the printing. Because the superhero costumes were colorful because of the printing process, right? Because they had to use bright pigments to print things, but we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just legacy that's keeping characters in orange and blue.
Yeah. But my question is then, like how much are, like, kind of like the Spider-Man kind of cast of characters, like Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy and Aunt May, how much are they going to be involved in this new story? Because, I mean...
Well, if I were Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, and Aunt May, because of who those characters are, I would be like, who the fuck is taking my boyfriend / nephew's mantle? Because I need to have a sit-down talk with him and maybe beat him up.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that they're going to be pretty big characters.
But speaking of Ultimate Spider-Man, so not the new Ultimate Spider-Man, but I was reading before when the the Ultimate Fallout, once after Spider-Man died, and so like a lot of the series talks about, you know, Peter Parker's effect on the Ultimate Universe and how much he was beloved, which you really wouldn't know by reading the book because it always seemed like everyone hated Spider-Man.
Well, but he had this huge cast that embraced so many different characters in that universe.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah. But what didn't make sense? Oh, so like, you know, so Steve Rogers is there. He apologizes to Aunt May and everything. Granted, I haven't really read the Ultimates all that much, but from what I've read, the Ultimates are giant jackasses. Like, they're not like people to be like looked up to at all whatsoever. Like, Steve Rogers is like jingoistic, hardcore, like go in, kill everyone, pull out. Like, I'm not sure if we talked about this earlier, but like I think we have. But in like the latest issue of Ultimate Avengers that I read of the Ultimates, they suppressed a super-powered pro-democracy revolution in North Korea.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
These are superheroes we don't control, but they're fighting for democracy. Screw democracy.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Avengers?
Well, and I think that's a really interesting difference between like the other Ultimate Comics and Ultimate Spider-Man, because I feel like things like the Ultimates and Ultimate X-Men, you know, all those canceled ones, were all about being like hardcore and mature and like deal with hard themes. And perhaps X-Men didn't really stay close to that. But the first few storylines of it, I really love because they're like hardcore X-Men stories.
Yeah.
And
also, but like, isn't like so I was reading the Ultimates again, the new ones, and like I think Wasp is in it again, right? Or is it the right? Because I thought she died in Ultimatum. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about something else.
I'm excited. Did you see that horrible thing that's going on around the internet? Like, Spider-Man could be gay. And it's like this quote from like the artist saying like, yeah, we could make a Spider-Man who's black and Latino. You know, we could even make a Spider-Man that was gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop pulling headlines. Like, the whole, my thing was like, radioactive spiders don't just bite the hegemony.
Yeah, exactly.
We know that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you can make Spider-Man not Peter Parker, then you can make him whoever you want. Plus,
yeah, and then also, like, speaking of making, kind of injecting diversity via killing characters or whatnot, they revealed in the new, like, the DCNU that not Captain Atom. Who's the Shrinker? Is that Captain Atom?
No, Captain Atom is different than the Atom.
Oh, okay. So Captain Atom, the Shrinker, size changer.
No, the Atom.
The Atom. So yeah, so the
Shrinker grower guy. Yeah.
Shrinker grower guy. So a while ago, it was this Korean guy who was the new
Choi.
Choi. Who was like the new Atom, and everyone's like, oh yeah, great, you know, wonderful Asian American superhero. There are so few of them. And then like they were like, we want to bring back the old Atom. And
then why?
So they kill the Korean guy, and everyone's like, what the fuck? That's really fucked up. Like, we liked him, and you didn't give him a chance. You didn't have to kill him. You could have just like become like Valence Electron Man or something like that. I don't know.
Right? Like you did with all the Flashes and Batman.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't have to kill him. But then so they revealed that like the new Atom in DCNU is the Korean guy who's not Korean anymore, but is Chinese, or grew up in Hong Kong, even though his last name is still Choi, which I'm like, this is so weird, especially considering how like Jim Lee is like Asian American and like at the head of this company. And I feel like it seems like really bizarre. Also, DCNU, they released the new finalized Justice League #1 cover, no pants, and I'm like, oh my god, guys, this is actually ridiculous now. So ridiculous. Just like so ridiculous.
What?
Yeah. I mean like in here, I think in this book or one of the books, in Adventure Comics, she has pants. And then it was released on Newsarama today. They're like, actually no pants, just kidding. It's just like indicative of so much like ineptitude on the part of DC right now. I'm like, what is going on with this DC movie? I don't know. And
it's sad because the way they justified it, they were like, there was such a fan. I thought I heard someone saying like it was because the fans really wanted no pants. I was like, really? You were held hostage by the Tea Party of the comic book world too?
Yeah.
Awesome. Just put stars on her ass, okay?
Yeah.
God. Anyway.
So, but moving on.
Hawkeye, I don't care.
Don't care.
0.1 issue. I'm super excited. Gum, I don't care.
Yeah, Captain America Gum. Don't see the connection.
Yeah. Spider Island. What? I kind of have been sort of following it because they've been doing a good advertising campaign, I think, that get me interested in stuff. And I'm interested in like the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu looks interesting, and the Avengers 1 cover looks awesome.
Yeah. I just like Jessica Jones. I wish she would get a different costume because unless she has a lot of boob tape, like I don't know how that stays up.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
An interesting thing that my comic book store guy said about the DCNU, he said a lot of the titles that are getting launched are gonna hopefully get their sales boosted, and because there's this thing like if you buy the first issue of something, you follow it for a longer time.
Yeah.
Then if you like hear it's really good, and then you just pick it up when it's a trade, at which point it's canceled. He's saying that the relaunch, you know, the strength of like relaunching like Action Comics and Detective Comics and the Justice League is, and like last time I thought it was Justice League of America, it's just Justice League. You were right. The strength of relaunching all of those titles is going to um, boost, the longevity of things like Batgirl starring Barbara Gordon or, Voodoo. Yeah. And so I thought that was a really interesting point. And especially, it'll be interesting to compare to things like Spider-Woman, #1, from this Spider Island ad. Avengers, #1. Avengers is pretty big. The Amazing Spider-Girl, and Cloak and Dagger. And I think, is Cloak and Dagger a continuing or just a limited? I feel like it's just limited.
Probably just limited. Like, I can't see Cloak and Dagger being able to carry a book on a monthly for indefinitely. Yeah. Yeah. They really need to, I don't know, like, the whole, I mean, I get when it came out, they were like, it was like a really, like, forward thing for comics to address, like, pimps and hoes and all that shit. But, like, fucking weird. Like,
it really falls, to me, part of the Cloak and Dagger thing falls into your criticism of the new Spider-Man costume. They just seem really one-dimensional. Like, I mean, and it's.
I mean, I really liked them when they were in the Runaways and they were trying to corral those. I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Good. And that's the thing. You love them, and they're good. I think they're good characters. But I just, especially when I look at them, like, don't judge a book by its cover. But actually, that's exactly what we're doing right now. That's what solicits are. That's what previews are, guys. And that's the thing. Like, their costumes are boring.
Yeah. But and so the last one is whatever ad is
Revengers.
Yeah, the Revengers, which sounds like a bad punk group. And
I was really hoping it was going to be a new comic book about really pissed off Avengers, but it looks like it's just going to be a storyline about Wonder Man in one issue.
Yeah. I've never really understood why any of us are interested in Wonder Man. Or why
I'm not, so there's nothing to understand.
Yeah. So
maybe he'll turn into a werewolf. I'll watch it then. Teen Wolf has 2 more episodes. Woo!
Oh really? It's just a half season? It's not a full season?
Yeah, it's just
okay.
But because it's a half season, I feel like they've had every 5th episode, so episode 5 and episode 10, have this weird storytelling technique where it's just like this kind of montage. It's like, it's on MTV, so it makes me think of like music videos where it's different from Green Lantern in that, Green Lantern suffered a lot from like assuming that comic book people would come to see it, and so a lot of the disjointed scenes are less disjointed if you know who all the characters are, and their relationship that they build, in the future with each other. So in terms of like, it makes sense retrospectively more. But this, like, they took care in each scene. Like, each scene was self-contained, but a lot of the storytelling became non-linear, and there were huge jumps in location and kind of time. So like, characters would show up, like, so in terms of transitions between the scenes, they just kind of left it up to your imagination, and so it kind of left this like weird pastiche collage thing, and it really doesn't make an episode flow very well, but it's great for communicating a lot of information in only one episode. So it really seems to me like this would have taken the place of like 3 episodes if they'd had the time, but they don't. But anyway, I still love it. That aside. So
speaking of furries and people turning into them or not into them, so True Blood spoilers. So turn it off if you don't want to hear any spoilers. I'm so happy that Jason is not a werepanther. I thought he was going to be because his crazy ex-girlfriend and her cousin husband, like bid him to turn him into a werepanther. And they were gonna, impregnate all their lady folk.
Ghost daddy.
Yeah, ghost daddy sperm. Ghost daddy. And I was like, okay, this is really stupid and weird. And oh god, my brain is exploding at trying to figure out like what the metaphysical properties of a half fairy, half werepanther, a fairy panther.
Yeah.
Like would be, and I can't even do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that it's not that.
Okay. I didn't watch last week's episode. Wait, what was it? Is he's just not?
Yeah,
just like,
so they reveal it, like Suki asks Alcide and what's her bucket?
Debbie.
His girlfriend, Debbie, yeah. Like how does one become aware? They're like, you're born aware, stupid. Duh.
and he's like, oh, it's just crazy jungle people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hooray that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the books that does change him, and he becomes a Were-Panther. And in the books, he doesn't. He has no fairy anything. Like it just like skipped him.
Mm.
So, I mean, he might not be fairy at all. He's just super hot.
Oh yeah, it does bear in mind how much because you know he's drunken from Jessica, and it looks like they're gonna be doing some like love triangle between Jessica and Hoyt and Jason, which I would pay to see that. Just saying.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be.
That was a really hot dream. I was like, yay.
Mm-hmm.
But
and if you have HBO, you are paying to see that.
But it would be interesting to see if his fairiness, if he's inherited any of his fairiness, and then how that affects Jessica at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So moving right along, Adventure Comics.
Yeah.
So I actually have no idea what's going on. I don't really read Adventure Comics very often. I only read it to catch the random sight of Gravity Boy's abs. So I'm like, oh, Cosmic King, sure, why not? So what didn't make sense to me in the little like description, like Cosmic King, aka blah blah blah, ability is transmutation. I'm like, how are any of his powers that he's displaying transmutation? That doesn't make how are concussive force blast transmutation? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, because doesn't it say Venus powers?
What?
Doesn't it say Venus powers?
No, it says homeworld Venus powers homeworld. Transmutation. So granted, Firestorm I really don't get either, because to me transmutation reminds me of in Roswell. They transmute shit by turning mustard into ketchup. That's transmutation, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And he does do
some of that. But
yeah. No, well, and that's the other thing, because I thought so Cosmic King is this evil version of Cosmic Boy, and so I thought he had also magnet abilities, because Cosmic Boy is basically Magneto, and so I skipped the blurb, as I always do, and was really confused halfway through the book, and went back and was like, oh, his powers aren't related to Cosmic Boy at all. But yeah, and so he's attacking because Saturn Queen, the evil version of Saturn Girl, is launching a big attack against the whole universe and everything, and the Legion in the Legion book, they're stopping her.
Gotcha.
And so this is just kind of a tie-in, sort of.
So he's working with Saturn Queen?
Yeah. So Saturn Queen sent him on a mission to this one place because he's lame and has inexplicable powers, and yeah. And now he's effing it up. So good. What did you think of the issue as a whole, or maybe the repercussions of the cast of the events of the book?
So I don't really know who is. I think his powers, or I don't know what it's kind of. I tend to not like characters whose powers are ill-defined and are just whatever you want. You know, I kind of I dislike that in general. His powers remind me a lot of. What's his face? Darwin or Lifeguard. I was gonna say Lifesaver, not Lifesaver. Lifeguard.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was I think it was sad that he had to die and everything like that. I don't know. I think it was supposed to be this big emotional kind of moment, and because I don't really read the book, I was like,
As someone who reads the book, I have to say I came out of that going well, gosh darn it, they did actually just write out all the really boring characters, or whatever his name is, transmuty person. His power is that he activates his ability and then he finds out what it's going to be this time. And so he was an interesting concept character, but they never really developed him. The storylines that they had dealt a lot with Chemical Kid, and as a result, he is one of the more interesting characters. Gravity Kid, his characterization seems to be he's super boring and hot. And and his powers, I think, are also ill-defined. I'm how does gravity powers help you move shards away from you? I didn't understand how he was doing things. And I also feel like
negative. A friend explained this to me. Negative gravity. It's like.
If you wanted to make all the shards fly and hit him, great. I understand
or
how that
like
would.
if you created like a gravitational singularity and they all flew into one thing, that would make sense. Those
I was like,
things...
you should just make the walls have big gravity. So
I mean, as a person who spent a lot of time thinking, so for all of you who don't know, and thank you for all of you Scarlet Betch readers who have been following us for so long, but I had this idea to do a reimagination of Sailor Moon as a superhero comic, and it was awesome, and my Sailor Moon had gravity powers. So I spent a lot of time thinking about the tactical applications of gravity powers, none of which involved negative gravity. Just saying.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I have to say, like, at the end of this book, I was like, you wrote out the two boring, problematic characters. I understand how that works. And I thought it was nice that, like, I thought it was interesting that they called it a spousal program, where he goes and follows Power Boy. I had been hoping that the power vacuum left from the big shakeup at the Legion was going to draw Power Boy back, and they were going to be characters in the book. But honestly, like, they're just token characters. They're just there to be gay and happy, which is boring. And like, it's one thing to have these hot token boys having little cute romantic scenes every once in a while. It's like sticking a gay Archie comic in the middle of your superhero book. But like, I want them to be a part of the team. I want them to be unhappy. I want them to do stuff. I don't want them to just sit there on the side and be like, that made you really happy. Let's make out.
Exactly. Well, I think that concludes everything we have to talk about this week. I'm amazed we talked for as long as we did for only 2 issues. But
well, we talked about a whole lot of other stuff.
We did, it's true. Yeah. Okay, but thanks for tuning in to this issue, and make sure you tune in next week for another great issue.